Ramiz, you've been chairman of the PCB now for a year and a couple of months. A few streaks of grey in the goatee there. It's quite a high-profile and high-pressure job.
It is actually, because we have a population of 220 million and they all feel that they can do a better job than what I'm doing right now. So we are judgmental as a nation, which is not bad actually. You know, people are engaged in cricket and with this team. And so there have been highs and lows, more highs I guess than lows, but it's a challenge.
But you would have known that as a player. You had that as a player for many years as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've faced fast bowling, Malcolm Marshall and company, so this was a bit easier than facing Malcolm Marshall. But obviously, I mean, there are things to do and reboot the system, which I've tried to do, but still a long way to go yet.
This is a historic tour in many ways, England's first for 17 years. How hard did the PCB have to work to get this tour on?
Well, Athers, I mean, there's the security issue first of all, so we've got to look after that. Then the cricketing issue, where to have a series in December. This is not our playing season because it gets smoggy, you know, and how to involve and engage fans for Test match cricket. You know, we are temperamentally set for white ball stuff, but as I mentioned earlier, you know, England and Australia this season will test our cricketing system. And England have tested us absolutely in every which way. But it's good to have these good teams, these Western teams come and be part of our cricket canvas.
And of course, 12 months ago, England pulled out of a very short tour of Pakistan.
Yes.
Did that affect relationships between PCB and ECB in a significant way?
It did actually. You see, we felt that we were used and then we were thrown in the dark, you know, and we had nowhere to respond to what England was suggesting to us, which was like players have been spooked and they can't come after what happened to the New Zealand squad. And so we felt, you know, betrayed in a way because we're culturally so much in sync. A lot of intermarriages in England. As I told you, my elder brother's wife is English. My nephews live in England. And so we were disappointed, and the fans were disappointed. But then I think things worked out extremely well. Good of ECB to come and suggest few things how to make it happen again for Pakistan. Hence this tour.
You talked about the security. I mean, we've seen extraordinary levels of security, particularly here in Multan. One might ask, well, is it really necessary, or is it just that belt and braces approach that you simply cannot afford for anything to go wrong, given what happened in 2009-10?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to suggest that to lower the guard completely. That will happen eventually because fans need to feel secure, they need to feel relaxed, the teams need to not be overwhelmed by the personnel that are there around them. But it'll probably take another couple of years for things to completely settle down. The problem is not so much in Pakistan, but the adjoining areas, the border. And Multan being, you know, we technically sort of in a situation where we just can't let go of whatever 5,000 policemen that are there to protect and guard cricket. But I'm thinking another 2 years and things will be a lot better.
The cost of security, who bears that cost? Is it sustainable going forward? Because, I mean, we went to golf the other day and it was like we were being accompanied by the 8th Battalion. So many people.
But you also must feel very important because you could break the queue, you could get in there early because you're special. But it's just that the bills are staggering. We're talking about $2 million US every time a team visits us. So right now we're sharing the bill with the administration, but I don't know whether it's sustainable or not because the police is under a lot of stress and pressure. The entire city shuts down. It's inconvenient for the fans. It's inconvenient for the citizens. But we have to do it. We have to do it to make it happen in Pakistan. And so people forget about the hardships. I think the administration has been kind enough to say, fine, so you pick up 25% of the bill, rest we'll take care of. But eventually, I think it's going to hit our pocket. They'll say enough is enough. So dish out $2 million every time England and Australia are here for a 20-day visit. And so we've got to find a way around it somehow. An ideal scenario is not to have so much of security, but that'll happen, I think, in another 2 years.
The state of Pakistan cricket, obviously a long time in exile. There was a cost to that, a financial cost.
Sure.
We're playing here in Rawalpindi, Multan and Karachi. What about some of the other grounds that England historically have played at, places like Faisalabad and Peshawar? Are those stadiums good enough to host international cricket at the moment?
Yeah.
How is the kind of state of the infrastructure around the country?
It's a funny way of handling cricket in Pakistan. For example, there are lease agreements. Otherwise, the grounds belong to the local administration. So if the ground belongs, for example, Faisalabad Cricket Stadium is not owned by us. We put up lights, we built the stadium and all that, but it's with the local administration. So they can have a public rally there suddenly, and we've got no stake in it whatsoever. So I wanted to have this Bangladesh under-19 and Pakistan under-19 in Faisalabad, but we couldn't because they had a rally and the outfield was completely destroyed. Peshawar is still, I'm afraid, red flag for most of the Western players, but that stadium is under construction, and it's going to be a bit like the Dubai stadium, high profile, and they worked extremely hard to get it in order. Maybe another 6 months we probably have PSL matches there. But we are contained in a way, you know, we're not spoiled for choice. This belongs to us now. Lahore is ours, Pindi is ours as well. But we like to spread the game around. So you're right, absolutely. So next pit stop would be Faisalabad. We're working with the administration. The lease agreement is almost signed. Sialkot is another venue which holds a lot of promise. So you'll see teams now visiting Faisalabad and Sialkot as well.
And what about the state of first-class cricket here in Pakistan? I know when Imran came in as Prime Minister, he was very keen to reform matters and have a smaller number of first-class teams, which has happened. And what about the impact of those changes?
I think it has worked well. It's still sort of in an embryonic stage because this experiment is now, what, about 2.5 years, 3 year old. But I feel that there's a lot of promise. And what I try to do is to make sure, like you have the county circuit where a player can have a career by just playing county cricket. And that is what I'm aspiring to do here. So we've increased the salaries and you can actually play first-class cricket and sustain yourself. But still a long way to go. I think in the next 3 or 4 years, you see a next fresh batch of young players coming through. We've got the 100 best batch of under 12s, under 14s, under 16s that we are managing extremely carefully. So there's a school system called Beacon House. They're looking after their education. They're being paid stipend of 30,000 rupees. Then they're exposed to very good coaching. Engro company is a multinational. They're looking after the fee of the foreign coaches. So, and then the 100 kids then go and play the Pakistan Junior League, which is an under-19 draft system. And I think in the next 2-3 years, you see fresh faces with a more aggressive approach come through the ranks and represent Pakistan in Test cricket. Like England, for example. Now, I suggested to Babar Azam that, look, I mean, England are playing the T20 format in a 5-day version, so you better pick T20 players here. So I think the mindset, it's a forced mindset on Pakistan, which I absolutely like. And so I want the generation next to feel like it's a T20 format, like what England are trying to produce.
You've been very taken with the style of cricket that England have played, and you can see that having an impact here in Pakistan and perhaps rest of the world as well.
I mean, we're having this great debate now, whether this is the future of Test match cricket, because nobody wants to see boring 5-day draws or, you know, result happening on the 5th afternoon or whatever. And it was thanks to England because not only did they have that result on a very, very flat pitch, but the way they handle things, absolutely positive intent, and that is what Pakistan need to understand.
You were very critical of the pitch in Pindi, and the last couple of Test matches there under your tenureship have been extremely flat. But I think I'm right in saying that prior to that, actually, they were perfectly reasonable pitches for a balance between bat and ball. Why then in the last couple of games in Pindi has it gone the other way?
So I tell you, I mean, so when you quote off previous instances, I mean, we had a series against Bangladesh, against Sri Lanka. So you didn't need a great pitch, unfortunately, or whatever. I'm not trying to belittle the talent that these teams possess or lack of talent, but it was easier to beat them. South Africa was a very good series, actually, but they do not travel well to subcontinent. So our real test was always going to be against Australia, whether we can prepare a 5-day version of a good pitch or not. And the idea was to prepare a pitch that'll have a bit of reverse, that'll have a bit of spin. But because we do not have the mastery and the artistry to prepare a 5-day pitch, we struggled badly. So there was this hodgepodge pitch that prepared, you took the grass off, and the pitch died completely. And it backfired. And even now here, at least you know here in Multan that it's going to spin from ball one, and that is what I wanted. At least you have a strategy where you can, a pitch strategy where you can then pick the proper playing 11. But we have not done a great deal regarding, the science that goes behind preparing a pitch, hence the drop-in pitch scenario. And I'm very keen to experiment with that because we've done so much. We've got the Australian curators here. In fact, we had to assign an Australian curator practically for the last test match against Australia to get a result. So we were desperate, actually. So we've sent samples to the lab to make sure that there is bounce, without grass. But we've not been successful. I don't know whether it's the clay or whether we do not have a proper season. I mean, this is off-season for us. I think our best season is February, March. So I'm now looking to get that drop-in pitch experiment done. And it's not that these grounds are multi-purpose sports complexes, but just to have proper strategy over a pitch so that we boss the pitch and then we can play accordingly.
Can I ask you about India? You're due to hold the Asia Cup here next. It's assigned to Pakistan. India, I think, have said that they're not going to come. Are you expecting them to come? Have you had further talks with India around that?
I don't think. I think there's a government policy, and I've got no idea whether they'll come or not. But it's unfair, and there's a statement made at the end of a BCCI meeting where they said India may not travel to Pakistan because of government policy, and also there's likelihood of Asia Cup being taken away from Pakistan and to put somewhere else, which I will absolutely resist. Because as you know, Asia Cup would mean a great deal to the fans. It's a multinational tournament. So we'll resist.
And would you retaliate when it comes to the 50-over World Cup? I mean, I've heard you say that, but it seems an extreme, extreme situation.
We don't want to really go there, but it's just that the fans want us to react. The fans are absolutely bitter because of what India's narrative has been regarding India-Pakistan, and I'm all for India-Pakistan contest. I've said that on record. I've been there. I've done, about 10 IPL editions. I absolutely love the fans. They like us as well. Pakistan has become a brand in international cricket. The players have got fan following in India. And on record, I know that the second most watched team in India after India is Pakistan. So they take interest in our development. We want to go and play. But the fact is, it has to be on equal terms. You can't be subservient to a certain cricket board, and we've survived without India now for a good 10 or 12 years, and it's a proud moment for Pakistan Cricket Board and Pakistan cricket team, whereas other cricket boards look up to India for a tour or so that they can build up their coffers, but Pakistan have looked at the scales of economy in-house, and somehow we have survived extremely well.
Doesn't sound like you're optimistic of a test match series between the two teams on neutral territory anytime soon, really.
I mean, neutral territory would not really advance the cause. So it has to be either in India or in Pakistan.
And generally, how are you coping with the kind of expectation that we touched on at the beginning of this interview? I mean, Pakistan are 1-0 down. It's not been a good morning for the team here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm absolutely engaged 24/7 with this team and with the product, because as a cricketer chairman, fans expect a lot better from this PCB. and I'm fully aligned with their wishes. I know that I'm under pressure. I will be. And winning means a great deal. Not so much probably in England, but here it's a matter of life and death. So there's this extra pressure and burden. But I think we always knew that England would be a very, very stiff challenge. And I think it's technical issue. It's a temperamental issue this morning. And you've got to play to your strength. I think the problem that I have with Pakistan at times that we change gear according to the opposition. So when Zimbabwe plays here, we go down a few notches and go at Zimbabwe's way of playing and contesting a series. When England comes, we're very good, but not as good. So I think this sort of up and down scale has got to end somewhere, and you've got to look at your strengths rather than nullifying England's strength.
Up and down, it might sum up Pakistan cricket over the years. It's very good
Cheers,
to see you.
Thank you, Anders. Thank you.